So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Pediatric Professional Committee Town Hall. This is an opportunity for us as the pediatric leadership to speak to the community and get everyone's interest and also up to date on things that are going on in ISHLT that affect our community. So welcome everyone and thank you for attending today. Just to set a meeting agenda. So first, I just want to review who actually makes up the leadership. I know not everyone's able to attend today, but we'll go through that. We did have a member survey to gauge interest in certain priorities for the membership as far as webinars and symposia idea as well as content. So we'll review that. We're going to talk about our upcoming webinar in February 2024. We're going to talk about the upcoming meeting and then also the JHLT Open where they're soliciting ideas from us. So real quick, my name is Kathleen Simpson. I am the pediatric representative to the Mechanical Circulatory Support IDN. And right now I am the chair of the Pediatric Professional Committee, but I will be rotating off of both positions in April 2024. We recently had nominations to replace me with several wonderful candidates. So we will, when approved by the board, be announcing to the community. We also have David Peng, who's on with us, if you want to say hi, Dave.
Hey everyone, I represent the PEDS community on the heart IDN.
And then we also have Bridget Wilmes from our lung colleagues, if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, I think you said it all. I'm Bridget Willemse. I'm a pediatric pulmonologist in the Netherlands, in Groningen, and I represent the pediatric lung transplant colleagues in the acute lung failure and transplantation IDN.
And I don't see our other members, but as you can see, we have several other members representing other IDNs, and I try to include all of their contacts at the end of all of our posting on ISHLT Connect. But if you need any contacts, if you're of interest in any of these IDNs, please send me a message or Juliet a message and we can provide contacts. So real quick, we just wanted to go over the survey results. So we sent out a survey. We got 19 answers for the survey earlier this year, kind of getting an idea of what people wanted from the community. You may recall that the pediatric community was a very, I think, robust and active community. And then there was a sort of reorganization within ISHLT with a focus of the interdisciplinary networks as a way for members to work across different disciplines instead of just within your kind of community. But during that sort of conversion, I think we lost a little bit of what the pediatric community had been as a good home and group for collaboration within ISHLT. So while keeping the IDNs as important, there has been a reemphasis on the importance of the professional community within ISHLT. And so what they have asked of us within the community leadership is to kind of gauge what members want in this kind of newer iteration. And so we're trying to gauge that in this survey. So some of the things we asked about was what were people interested as far as future education and webinar. There was a lot of interest in the social challenges and the transition into adulthood. Desensitization in a highly sensitized patient was the most popular, and that's what the topic of our webinar will be this year. Dual organ transplant was also important as well. And then looking for what people were interested in getting out of the professional committee. Research collaboration was really above and beyond the biggest interest as far as the group. And we've brought this the results of the survey back to the leadership, and they have heard what we have said as far as the emphasis on needing a better platform within ISHLT for research collaboration. And last time we talked with leadership, they said they were kind of figuring out the best way to do that, to foster interdisciplinary and intercommunity research collaboration. So that's going to be kind of something we'll have to see how that evolves over time. But certainly we were not the only community to express that that was a need for our members. Case presentations, which we haven't figured out exactly how we would do that, but I think there's opportunity for for kind of how we can do interesting case presentations beyond just our webinar, mentorship and networking. So I think that those are other things that we as a community need to think about how we best facilitate those needs beyond just the meetings, because certainly at the meetings we have our networking events, but in between the scientific sessions, how do we do that? So this is feedback I'd love to hear from the group at the end. And then the last thing was, what do we want to see for symposia topics? And again, desensitization, CAV was really big, and reverse remodeling therapies were our top results. And again, we brought this back to leadership as well. So that brings us to the webinar. So our webinar date and time has been decided for February 6, 2024. Right now, we have a basic outline and we are finalizing speakers. But we hope everyone can attend. We'll keep sending reminders out as we get closer, but please save the date and time if you'd like to attend. And we'll be talking about desensitization in both pediatric heart and lung transplant candidates with the junior faculty case presentation. And then the other thing that leadership has brought to us is that there's a recent launch of the JHLT Open. So this is a open access journal, mostly online for right now. And for the first year, there'll be no publication costs for authors. It will be peer reviewed with similar styles to what we see in the Journal of Heart Lung Transplant. It will be indexed in PubMed. And they have asked us as a community to provide ideas for what we would like to see as topics in this journal. So just putting it out there, because if you have an idea for a review paper, or you have a research project that you're ready to get published and you would like to reach a wide audience and not have to pay any fees, this is a nice time period for you to be able to have access to this. And because it's new, I think there's a greater opportunity to get unpublished. Some of the ideas that we brought to leadership based on the surveys that we just shared was recovery, pulmonary hypertension, including therapy, and threshold for lung transplant. Always the important question, the transition from pediatric to adult care, which we also identified as a need for future guideline statements. Social considerations, which is always a hot topic, and then genetic syndromic issues, desensitization, which of course we've talked about, dual organs, and then CAV in the pediatric and young adult population. So if you have additional ideas that you would like for us to pass on, please, you can email me or any of the leaders, and we'd be happy to pass it on. And if anyone has questions as we go through these slides, it's just so that I don't forget to talk about things, but we can discuss as we go along if people have things to say. So feel free to interrupt me. Couple last things before we open it up. So just a reminder, as we all know, the 44th annual meeting will be in Prague in April 2024. Right now, the abstract submission site is open, but it closes in mid-October. There will be a pediatric community meeting at the conference in addition to the IDN meeting. So we hope to see everyone there who can attend. And then also a plug for the Core Academy. So Brigitte is working on it. So we don't have all of the specific topics within the program, but it will be a combination of heart, mechanical support, lung, and pulmonary vascular disease. So it will be, I think, applicable to a wide audience within our community, which will be great. And it will be on Tuesday before the meeting starts, which is traditionally when we will have our Core Academy. So I hope that people can join for this as well. And more programming information will come out prior to the meeting. But mark it in your calendar if you're planning on going to Prague to try to get there a day early so that you can attend the Core Academy. And then that's really all I had. And so I wanted to open for discussion if anyone had any questions, comments, about anything I talked about, or anything in general that you would like to see from the pediatric community. Or if any of the leaders have anything to say, or Christian, if you have anything to say with one of your hats. All right, Christian, I see your hand raised.
Yeah. So I just thought as I said, having two hats on is always a bit difficult. Yeah, I think you've done a very, very excellent summary also of the survey results. Obviously, it's always a bit disappointing to only see 19 people of the whole PC, pediatric PC, to answer, because it's very important. So I really want to encourage everyone to get involved, because I think ISHLT is providing great opportunity for people to get involved on all levels. And I think that's super important. So as you know, I mean, there's been in past, our pediatric infectious disease colleague, Lara Danzigeza, as a president, and there was Laurie West as a president, pediatric cardiologist as myself coming up, taking over as president in 24 in Prague. So I think you see that there are great opportunities with more pediatric representation on the board as well. So I think that's important, and that also helped, for example, to realize the pediatric heart and lung and mechanical support and transplant academy that's coming up in April. And I'd like to thank Simon Urschel from Edmonton. I'm not sure if Simon is on. He's another board member and a pediatric cardiologist from Edmonton, and he really helped also to set this up. And I'd like to thank Brigitte and the others for realizing that as chairs, and hopefully many people will attend. Having it in Europe is also a great opportunity for many, I think, European colleagues to attend, because it's Prague is very central, easy to reach. And I really want to, ask every one of you to try to attend, also your fellows. There will be travel grants also offered more than ever before. So please watch out on the website about this. And there will be obviously more research funding opportunities coming up as well through the ISHLT Foundation, which has really collected a lot of money from the industry to give it out to people to conduct their research appropriately. So I think that's great. I'm excited about this. And yeah, I think we just need to really get ourselves familiar with this new format. It's new, but it works. And so I think it's very important that we all get engaged, and ask everyone to reach out to the great leadership of the pediatric PC if you need any help with anything, or myself.
Thank you. I see Jason, you have your hand raised.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
When I looked at that survey, one of the things that stuck out to me was that a lot of people want to collaborate on research. And I think we talk about that a lot at the meeting. And then, it's hard to get that going. I think one of the issues, one of the things that might be a barrier is that we have a bunch of different communities, right? We've got ISHLT, we've got Action, we've got PHTS. And so, when someone has a research idea, and, I have my bias of, my current research interest, what is a good way within ISHLT to get that off the ground?
Yeah, I think that's the same question we had. So, we when we talked to Greg about it, we said, this is what our community has, pointed out as an interest. And he said that multiple communities had come with the same interest of research collaboration. And so it sounds like there's ongoing discussions about how that would look. Some discussions were whether or not that would be something like an online forum where you could post that you're interested in collaborating on a certain project or a certain interest, and there'd be a way to filter that out by either community or topic or what. But I think it's still in early stages, but I think that my understanding is that that's recognized as an interest. And I think that once we kind of establish how we as ISHLT will be collaborating on research, it'll be a lot easier to then collaborate with other organizations. But I think we kind of need to get how we're going to do it first before we start thinking about how do we collaborate with PHTS, how to collaborate with Action. I don't know, Christian, if you have anything more on that, but it sounds like it's a known interest, but just not sure how to, move forward quite yet.
Hi, Casey. Regarding Academy, do you have already any suggestions for Prague?
The Academy, so the core Academy is going to be heart and lung focus. Bridget is actually on that planning committee, so she would be able to speak more to that. So I'll let her talk about it.
Well, we just started 3 weeks ago. And at this moment, we are still elaborating which kind of topics, but at least we are aiming to have a few general sections, but also to have some breakout sections. And we have now a nice list of all topics which could be addressed. So next week we will try and start on to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Okay.
I'm working with Melanie Everett and Jeffrey Feinstein and Martin Schweiger on this. And well, as Christian said, he already, well, the idea was from Christian and, sorry, forgot. So we have a lot of things to think about it.
And as you just said, talking about before about collaboration, Brigitte, I think this is an ISHLT and PHTS, joint adventure. So that also shows that ISHLT has very much an interest to collaborate with other societies, and in particular also the pediatric field. And I myself am also involved in IPTA. And we're actually planning, because we will have the IPTA meeting in 2025 in Berlin, and we also have the ISHLT meeting in Boston. So one is in April, the other one is in September, and we will have are planning on having joint symposia at both of the events, so in Berlin and also in Boston, so giving people the opportunity to have something in Europe, something in North America, and really focusing here on collaborative effort. So this is really top on the agenda of ISHLT, as you can see just by these two examples.
That's great. I have another question regarding, because we have an opportunity to publish until the end of the year from Open Journal. So we thought about some topics. Perhaps we can work because just 3 months ahead. So perhaps we need to decide what kind of revision we wish to do to publish in the journal.
As far as like review, yeah, I think that there's certainly opportunity, for if you have an idea to reach out to the community. I think that what I would encourage people is to post on the community connect and say, I'm interested in collaborating on a paper regarding this topic that was identified as a need or a topic of interest. And is anyone interested in writing a review paper or something in regards to that? Would be a good first step. I think that it would be lovely to see some good PEDS representation within that journal, especially, and it's not till the end of the year, it's actually like a full calendar year is my understanding. So we still have time into next year. So I think that, just kind of reaching out to community for people with similar interests may be a good way to start to decide what kind of paper and, what topic to kind of address first.
Okay.
And then Ernestina, I saw you had your hand up, but it's down. Do you still have a question?
Yes, I think it was a general question regarding if ISHLT is facilitating what we call ancillary staff, which is dietitians, PT, etc., to kind of have ISHLT either more affordable, which hopefully there are some travel grants, or should we just aim for IPTA to be the transplant meeting that these people or these colleagues attend to? Because I remember 10 years ago seeing a wide variety of non-physicians at ISHLT, and that has dwindled down. Obviously, pharmacy has a very strong presence, but I wonder if there's anything in the works just to make it also accessible or attractive, especially to coordinators, which are the doers, right, from our programs.
I think that's a great question. I would ask Christian to comment on because I obviously have no effect on the pricing of membership. So I'll let Christian answer that.
Yeah, I mean, it has been addressed because there is a membership task force that has been set up. And there are some tiered membership fees now available. So I would ask everyone to look at this. And there are also opportunities for low-income countries in order to enable, colleagues from those other countries, and also for non-physician fees. So I think you just need to really look into those at the website, because there has been a revision, and this is an ongoing issue that will be looked at. And I think the question is always where you host yourself best. I think, Tina, that in our little lung community, actually, I was very happy to see many coordinators at our last meeting in Denver, also attending our social events, but also attending all the other events. I think that's already great. And obviously, many of them are spread out through various, communities. There's also obviously the allied health community, but then also with regards to the specialties, let it be pediatric heart, lung, or MCS. So I think there are various opportunities, and obviously, I think compared to IPTA, ISHG is obviously a very clearly focused, cardiothoracic transplant organization, and so that offers more opportunity. I personally like to attend IPTA as well and collaborate with IPTA, and I'm on the publication committee, and I was a former chair of the education committee there. And the reason for it is because I think we can learn so much from other solid organ transplants, because in particular kidney people, when I look at those topics that got up today, like desensitization, and also the upcoming webinar, I think these are topics where, the non-cardiothoracic organ people are so far ahead. And so I like to attend those. I think, should really encourage every one of your people also to submit abstracts. Very important, also non-physicians to submit abstract, and watch out for the travel grants. They will also be advertised, so enabling people to really travel to Prague, and maybe then split up with people, and others will then attend the Boston meeting the year after.
That is wonderful. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, thoughts about? Oh, I see, Nicholas, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, it was along the same lines as Tina's question. It just made me think of trainees. Are there grants for fellows for ISHLT attendance?
As I said, there will be those travel grants and then abstract award grants, so that will all come up on the website. That's not yet up, but I think someone has already, before posted a link in the chat room. So obviously, I ask everyone to have a look at the website where it's called Research and Data ISHG Research Grants, and there you find a opportunity of various industry partners to support various grants. And I think it's there's also something for coordinators in particular as a VAD coordinator grant. So I think there are various opportunities also for non-physicians, I think, to to get some funding. And this is obviously much better now with the foundation than it's been in the past, because there's just no money in the pipeline. And as you know, we obviously paused this all for a couple of years in order to get it sorted out, because before it all came out of the operational budget, and that wanted to be moved aside. And so from that point of view, it was a bit quiet for I think 2020, 2021 on the grant front, but now that's been improved. I think there was already a lot of grants, if you remember and recall the Denver closing ceremony, where many of those awardees received their certificates. So I think that's an opportunity for all of you guys to look at and keep on watching out for those.
Yeah, I would echo everything that Christian said, and Nicholas, and also probably trying to get a project together and submitting that is sort of your way to get your foot in the door and become eligible for a lot of these funds. So it's definitely not too late, although the deadline is coming up in November.
And there's one other thing what I think is always important also, if you feel that, for example, here on any of the community chat, something about, task force that set up new guidelines for whatever, always important, if you look at the people, those membership, this task force members, or even before that is out, and you feel it's important that there is a pediatric representation, then just reach out to Greg or myself, or the leadership of the pediatric PC, to make sure, because sometimes us Peds people get forgotten on those, and it's very important. And just that's the reason, and that's how we, managed to be on the pulmonary AMR update document, and with great effort from the very small pediatric lung community. We're now actually writing for the first time, a pediatric lung transplant candidate selection consensus document, and Brigitte and Nick, they're all leaders on that of subgroups and committees. And so I think there is a lot of opportunity. That's a lot of work, but always remember to throw to raise your hand and make sure that pediatric representation is there and exists on all of those various projects and guideline documents and statements to develop.
Yeah, I think that's also where the pediatric representation to the IDNs is helpful, because we're supposed to be the voice of pediatrics. And I think a lot of the things that come out are very adult centric, just because they're a larger proportion of the, the organization, but we are always trying to advocate for the pediatric voice and considerations in all the documents. And, so if you have something you're interested in, reach out to your IDN representative who can bring that to their IDN that's specific to what you may be interested in, or a suggestion for a guidelines document that you see that is lacking or out of date. We're happy to bring that as well. And then Dave is putting some wonderful links in the chat as far as access to different submissions, and then different links as far as grants. And then Juliet has also mentioned in the chat, that there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up for different committees, which are going to need spots to be filled. So there's, be emails coming out soon from ISHLT outlining what positions need to be filled, and then also how to apply for them online. And it's pretty straightforward and easy in general to apply for these. So I encourage anyone who's looking to get more involved, or to, do more in ISHLT as their first step. This is a great opportunity to do one of these committees.
Yeah, I'd second that as well. Just starting out as a senior fellow, just volunteering for one of these monographs, and also writing committees. I was surprised with some opportunities that I definitely did feel qualified for, and so they're very welcoming to junior members to be a part of these publications.
And always remember to point your junior faculty also towards the early career junior faculty group, because there's also great opportunity there. So I think then you can just spread out in various committees. You've got your home because you're pediatric, let's say, cardiologist, but then you also have the opportunity to liaise with the junior colleagues. And I'm sure after the very great success at the Denver meeting, there will also be again some kind of breakfast event or get together for the first time attendees at the ISHLT meeting in Prague. And I had the pleasure and the honor to share the table with some of those first-time attendees, and it's great just giving some guidance what they can do. And remember, there will also be some, like a case report, for junior faculty coming up at the ISHLT meeting in Prague. So just watch out for those announcements, and I think there is a lot of opportunity to get involved. I'm sure that navigating through all of those opportunities will get easy as well, because we're currently developing a new website. The old website is sometimes a bit difficult to navigate through, so I'm sure with that coming up and the new website in full operation, don't ask me about the exact date, but then I think it will be much easier, I think, for people to find their way around.
Thank you. Any other questions, suggestions? Well, we don't have to necessarily take up the whole hour. if we have answered all of our questions, but I just want to make sure everyone's had a chance to get any of the information from the chat, and then also to, again, ask any questions or thoughts. But if you have something that you didn't feel like bringing up during this particular meeting, please feel free to email us so that we can try to answer them. Or if you feel like it's something that may take a longer explanation, happy to help. If you have questions about the different committees, we can try to answer them, or at least get you to the right person as far as which committee might be right for your interest. But again, I think it's a great early opportunity if you haven't really done, a significant role within ISHLT. It's a good way to get introduced to the organization and leadership and get involved. So I encourage everyone to look into that when the announcements come through.
Yeah, and this you mentioned before, I think you mentioned already JHLT Open, the new open access journal with Dirk van Ramdong from the Leuven Group in Belgium as the editor-in-chief. He's not only looking for people that are having great ideas with regards to reviews and topics, and obviously also original research we submitted, but I think there was also an email just like today or yesterday looking for volunteers to review. So there are great opportunities. I think you just need to pass this on also to your junior faculty, because then there's a great opportunity to really for everyone to get involved and to get your hands dirty with that.
Right. I think reviewing is a great opportunity too. As a researcher myself, I learn a lot by reading other people's papers, and I enjoy reviewing because I always certainly learn a little bit myself. So it's a valuable opportunity if you haven't done that yet either, to volunteer. Any other questions or comments? Well, it's only 35 after, but I don't have anything else to discuss. So I don't want to take up anyone's time unless there's any other last minute questions or comments before we would end.
This is Tina, just a brief comment. I just want to welcome some of our lung transplant colleagues from Spain and Uruguay and other places. I think we have been little by little kind of pulling them towards ISHLT. So I'm glad that they're able to join us, and hopefully we can meet each other in person in the meeting.
Well, I also think it's really exciting that we're trying to have more emphasis. We've talked about in the leadership of making sure that the webinars we do, the core academies we do, really are more widely applicable and not so heart-centric. And that's why we chose the topic we chose for the webinar of, desensitization, which affects all organs really, but mostly the thoracic organs. I feel like we have to deal with it a lot more. And then also just the core academy being really trying to bridge between our colleagues within the pediatric community, because we want to make sure that we're reaching out to topics that are important to everyone and applicable.
Yeah, actually, Tina, I'm really excited now. I'm putting my pediatric lung hat on to see so many pediatric pulmonologists on this call. I mean, that's exciting to really see that people are reaching out from various parts of the world and being part of it. And yes, I think our colleagues in South America, that's a great opportunity for everyone to get involved. I mean, ISOCHINA Español has certainly also played a role. And obviously, Estella in Sao Paulo, thinking this, I can't say it's probably this afternoon for you, or is it 5 hours? I can't remember for Europe. But anyway, I think it's a great chance to look out for various people from around the world. We sometimes struggle a bit with regards to the timing, so that's why it's great that this will be recorded, this meeting, and I'm sure that Juliet will. Put some information later into our community chat in order for people to also listen to this recording for those who did not have the opportunity to be here live, because it's an odd time of the day. So if I just think of colleagues at the other side of the world, that obviously makes it very often difficult. It's just 5:30 in the morning in Sydney or so. We have that very frequently, that we hear of those issues, but we try to accommodate as many people as possible.
Excellent point. Any last minute thoughts? And there is ISHLT YouTube, as Juliet is pointing out, where this recording and video will be available. So And I do think, Julia, historically, there has been a good number of people who do watch the town halls afterwards, as well as the webinars, who can't make it necessarily at the time of the meeting. So. Okay, well, if there's no other questions or comments, I'm happy to end a little early and give people back some time. But I just again want to thank those who attended and raised their voice. It's important to hear from our members. And I will miss being the chair when I cycle off, but I know that you're in good hand with the rest of the leaders once I'm not around. So again, thank you everyone for attending. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You.